Mark, continue with whatever you think is important while we have you here in studio.
Well, again, you hit on the right direction. You're seeing this in publications, just like this brief from England, that it's a totally different age. In that, in the past, they could have waited. We wouldn't have known for 2 or 3 months, maybe a year, before we found out that, hey, somewhere in an English paper, the London Times or whatever, somebody finally looked in a page C14, and lo and behold, here's the exact same thing that was being talked about in the exact same day somewhere in the United States. The advantage that we have right now is that the information base and the data systems involved are just as much in our command as it is with the enemy. In fact, more so, because their assumption, and for whatever reason, remember, we got the thinkers, they got the stinkers. We're in a situation where we're able to cross-collate and reference. The other side seems to assume, and because of the people they chose, they're in a very narrow band. These people are not the swiftest, they're not the sharpest knives in the drawers.
Yeah, they're all specialized. They're all specialized in compartmentalization.
The very thing that they're trying to foist upon everybody else is actually becoming their demise.
And the people carrying this out at this level, they think it's good.
Well, again, that's a matter of what Google. If when you create,
the low level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you create a police state, just like big government, specific criminal minds will gravitate to those positions, or
control freaks.
Control freaks. And what happens is they may give them another. There's two elements. One are the zealots who don't care about who they hurt, what's going to happen, whatever, because they're into the groove with that. On the other side, you have those who literally just would like to hurt people or are into the power factor, and they're the ones from the other direction that know they can manipulate the first group and utilize them completely. So they're the minority in both cases. This is the comical part about this. They are not the majority. They could be neutralized very quickly. If moose season were to open up tomorrow, there aren't enough moose to go around. That's why Canada has a moose restricted system, by the way, for hunting. So that's what we're seeing here. Everybody goes, well, they've got spiffy uniforms. They got really cool boots. Oh, and it's black. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it'll look good on my wall. Right next to the stuff my dad brought back from World War II. Japanese uniforms, Japanese swords. It's really cool. Black uniform, MP5, HK91. Hey, they really look great. They're mine now, by the way.
Well, Mark, I want to say, you and I are both trying to have a peaceful solution to this and not have World War III. The point is that the public has been trained. And I've gotten a chance to meet people in business, high level, Hollywood people. They're just regular folks, too. A lot of them are awake, too. People think that I walk on water, or you walk on water, or we're somehow magical, too. Well, the same goes for people in government. They think that these elitists are perfect or invincible or magic or different. No, they're human beings, too.
They just like everybody else.
And I kind of somewhat thought this myself, that people who were in Hollywood floated on clouds, or that elites were smarter than I was. Only now, as I, got more prominent and got involved and learned more, I realized, no, that a lot of the people aren't even as smart as I am, and I don't think I'm that smart. So you're absolutely right. People need to get past this inferiority complex.
Right. It's not futile to resist. It is not futile. You will not be absorbed. Just the reverse. The biggest problem that they've got is...
Yeah, our movement, so many people have it in our minds that we're beautiful losers and that we can't win, and they freak out when we start winning, thinking it's some type of sellout. Right, No, we're prominent. We're going to wake the people up. We're going to take the culture over.
That's right. And one of the things to remember is the other side is not going to. This is what well, let's put it this way. We talked about this before. Have you ever heard your enemy apologize for anything that they say?
No.
Yet we're supposed to bend over backwards and ever apologize for every aspect of our life.
We're supposed to compromise and get in. And
you know what? Like I said, them first. Everybody has to have that. Them first. You know what? I've got a number 10.5 size military boot here. I'm going to stick it between the slats of whoever it is stupid enough to try and push us around. I'm going to run his hind end back on down the road, give him a backpack full of rocks, and let him swim halfway back to the spiders. And that's not that I don't need a peaceful solution, but my problem is this. Do you talk to a backed up toilet? Do you negotiate with a backed up toilet? Have you ever done that? Has anybody out there listening ever done that? You know how stupid that sounds? At a given point, you're going to have to go in and get dirty. In order to make that toilet work again, you're going to have to go in, somebody is going to have to go in and clean things up so that the toilet works again. Now, you can either, turn your nose to it and then start using a 5-gallon bucket out behind the house and figure, well, we'll just shut the door in that bathroom. Or you can enjoy indoor plumbing and civilization by cleaning up the mess. And that means you don't negotiate with a backed up toilet. That means that basically you get the plunger and you stomp its hind end.
No, I agree with you. My whole point is a lot of people in the mid-'90s and late 90s wanted to go to war.
It is still a solution.
It is. Have a conflict, but my point is we have exposed them, we have politically damaged them, and I thank God it hadn't turned into a shooting war.
Well, in a way, to a degree, the problem with that is we have been successful, and we must acknowledge our successes, but we probably would have been better off in a war in 1995. Because with each step, we're going to have a deeper conflict. I've argued this for years. If you wait, both sides, in fact, our side is, we're not going anywhere. We're right here where we've been. We live here. But your enemy has brought more and more resource to bear, so it will cost you more to win.
But our numbers have swollen. I think we have more resources now than they do.
Exactly, but that's where we get down to the whole argument for years of what's called a battlefield on gimbals.
Yes.
In other words, both sides have are moving towards each other. The battlefield changes depending upon the amount of weight that moves the pivoting gimbal wall, but at a given point, somebody is going to make contact and come head to head. It's not an if; it is just a when.
Well, it took more than 15 years for it to start in our Revolutionary War.
That's right. And again, here, if you look at what we're seeing right now, let me point this out. Well, of course, in England, my personal attitude with them is that unless they turn around and basically ban it, whoever's there right now pushing this program, how are you going to get rid of a bunch of sycophants that are raised as nutcases from youth?
A bunch of little spies on power trips.
In fact, what this is these are the interior police. If everybody, what I've argued for years, and I will do it again.
NKVD.
Yes, in Russia, you don't see Hollywood doing any movies about communist Russia. You can talk about Germany till you're blue in the face. Before World War II, during World War II, and after World War II, Joseph Stalin killed approximately 100 million people between Georgia, the Ukraine, the stands, and God knows how many other places. We can go right on down the shopping list. Hollywood won't make movies about that because Hollywood liked that. And because Hollywood was part of that. No illusion. You can talk about Germany. Germany in 1945, while Hitler was dust in Berlin, 10 years later, Joseph Stalin was still butchering people with reckless abandon, and Hollywood.
And now it's come out, what we always told people, the CIA section chief, I'll never forget, about 8 years ago, on History Channel, and it's now been declassified.
Yep.
And David Rockefeller's written about it in the New York Times and in his books. They put Mao in, and he killed. Their government says 60 million in official Chinese records.
And we know it was more.
And we know it's more like 85.
Even the Cultural Revolution in the first year killed 15.5 million, acknowledged through intelligence sources in the day. And this was the starvation of China.
And I've had former White House historians and analysts on, like Richard C. Cook. I have had Ray McGovern on, former CIA. I've had all these analysts on. They say the government is gearing up for a mass culling in the U.S. They want to fully do that.
Now, let me ask you something, guys. What does that mean? Because, you see, when you give these numbers, I'll give you an example of how that works. How many people live in Austin, Texas?
Metro, about 1 million. In the city, about 800,000.
Okay. So we're looking at 1.5 million to 1.8 million. We'll use a number here.
No, in total, it's only about, it's about 1 million.
I'm going to say, with the urban, we're talking about, within a reasonable walking distance, there's about 1.5 million people, plus or minus. It's a little more, but we're going to use that number. We just gave a number of 15 million people killed in 1 year.
In 1 year, that's 10 Austins.
Yeah. Now, here's the way for people to understand that. I want you to go to the west side of this city, and I want you to imagine walking from one side of this city to the next, and everywhere you go where a person was standing, they are now laying dead. Every man, every woman, every child, the cats, the dogs, they'd kill everything and anything if they felt it would empower them in some way. Now, you're not talking one-time Austin. You're talking in Michigan, for instance, walking from the Upper Peninsula to the bottom of the state with nothing but death before you. Now, you better all ask this real quick of every American out there, is what do you want of this country? And here's the thing. Do you think you're going to ride this storm out and duck this?